You know what they say, close enough doesn't count unless it's horseshoes or hand grenades.
You are Locked On Boston College Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. This is the Locked On Boston Postcast. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider. Thank you all for joining me here for today's show. Boston College, they go out and they handled their own, I thought, against SMU, but a loss is a loss. I saw a lot out of BC today that I liked. So some things I wasn't all that thrilled about. But we're going to talk about this game. We'll get into the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the ugly, what went right. So let's just jump in quickly. This game was, I thought, going to be a lot more lopsided than it was. If you listen to my pregame show with Mitch from a couple days ago, I had BC losing by 20-something points. And really, BC only lost by 3. I mean, the BS touchdown at the end, I don't really count that, right? I mean, it counts, but it was only because things just completely fell apart. But this game, you know, you go into it with a new quarterback. You had the whole Thomas Castellanos saga from the week. And you're playing against a team that plays like they're on fire. Like they are just, everybody on that offense is incredibly fast. And I just thought this is going to be a bad matchup for Boston College. And the way the game started off, I thought I was right on with that. Like they fell behind. First of all, they let up an early drive, and SMU just flies down the field. But like we've seen multiple times with Tim Lewis's defense, they tighten up in the red zone, and they really close to the end zone, force them to kick a 24-yard field goal, which I've seen some bad kicks at Boston College. That kick was awful. I mean, he turned it around and hit 3 or 4 field goals after that. But he misses his field goal. BC's offense, though, this is what worried me. They go 3 and out. They're not doing anything on any, their first couple drives. If you look at the drive charts, first 2 drives for BC, they punt it after going 3 plays for 5 yards. The second drive, 6 plays for 24 yards. And so the start of the, I almost called him Moorhead, Grayson James era at Boston College starts off poorly. But credit to Grayson James and credit to the offensive play calling to get that gear going. Going into this game, SMU's defense, their rush defense, was top 5 in the country. They were allowing just 90 yards of rushing. BC ended up running 180 yards on them. So BC found something they could do. And you're looking at next week against UNC, they're going to be able to run on them too. So the third drive is where BC starts to find some success. And that ends up with, it's a, I'm trying to pull it up, 13 play, 75-yard drive capped by a touchdown run by Kai Robichaux. And you're like, okay. But my feeling throughout this game, and it didn't change throughout it, was BC would get a touchdown, and you're just almost every time it happened, SMU would just warp speed down the field and score again. And that's exactly what happened here because, BC scores and SMU then kicks a field goal pretty shortly right after that. So, you're going back and forth. You're starting to see the offense start to find themselves. Jordan McDonald's running. Grayson James made a few good passes. Was he great in this game? No, he was not great. Did he make some solid plays? Yes. I was talking to Mitch Wolf of Eagle Insider about him, and we were both saying that he had a very much Tommy Castellanos game in this game, right? Kind of inconsistent, left some plays out there, made some good plays. That's kind of what he did, right? So you get another touchdown pass to Kamari Morales, and you get to the end of the second quarter, and there's about a minute and a half left after Morales scores. And Kevin Jennings goes back and is picked off by Carter Davis. He returns it, I believe, to close. I think it was the red zone. So BC's down 17-14. And all BC has to do is score here. They can. I think they had 2 timeouts. They were if they could just score there, they could go to the halftime with the lead, and then take over again on the third quarter with a chance to double that up. But this was the play, in my opinion, of the game. Any offensive play SMU made, any BC play, this was it. Grayson James on the first play, he goes back to pass, looks in the end zone. I think it was Morales he was looking at, and I think he threw it too inside and too low, and it was picked off. And so you got a golden one-time opportunity to put points up on them, and you didn't get to do it. Not only that, like, you could have gone up at halftime like 21-17 with getting the ball back in the second half. That would have been huge momentum for the Eagles, and that was blown. It only got worse because they got the ball back with 40 seconds left, and I'm like, gosh, they got all their timeouts. They're going to score. And they, I believe, kicked a field goal with a few. Yeah, they kicked a field goal with 24 seconds left, and no, they scored a field goal just to end the half, and that took a lot of wind out of the sails of all the work they did. One of the things I've cautioned you guys about with Grayson James is there are times where he makes a pass, and this wasn't as bad as the pass against Western Kentucky, but he makes mistakes that cost you. I watched a lot of it during summer camp. Like, you'd make a lot of good plays, and then all of a sudden there's a one play, and you're like, oh man, wish I had that back. So BC's down by 6. Still feeling pretty good, right? You're still feeling like you're in this game. The defense, I mean, they made an interception, so you could feel good about that. But SMU is still moving the ball really effectively, and it's hurting. And also, I also want to say too, that field goal was set up by a run by Brashard Smith that was almost to the house. And I've seen many SMU plays that are just like fly out, gone. Thank God, I think it was Ashton McShane that caught him. That saved points right there. And I saw folks really upset about that. You had the ball with 24 seconds. The way that SMU was throwing the ball, you had to be playing much more pass-oriented on your defense. And if they're going to run the ball, let them run the ball. The odds of them, I think KP Price took a bad angle on something, and that cost them some yards. But, I mean, that was just a freak play. That, they had a really good running back, and they got it. Now, in a moment, let's talk about the second half. Let's go over what happened, how they come back, how they take the lead, but can't hold on to it. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's a 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. Oops, sorry. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. This is the Locked On Boston Postcast. We're talking about BC's 38-28 loss to the SMU Mustangs. A tough loss. Lot to be positive about, but a loss is a loss, right? So the second half, Boston College gets the ball right off the bat, and they run the ball down. And the physical running games get going, and they're able to make some plays. And I want to make sure I shout out Reed Harris, because he had some big plays in this too. So they get the ball about the 20-yard line, and a play that I have been dying to see Boston College play and work in a while. Actually, worked with Grayson James, which was a option keeper where he just trucked it in from 20 yards out, and BC has the lead. Now the lead wouldn't hold on all that long though, as BC ends up giving the ball right back to SMU. They score, I believe it's a touchdown in the third quarter. They score a field goal, and BC starting to get a little bit more. They're having some struggles on offense. The offense isn't going anywhere. Also, injuries are starting to pile up. Donovan Azaraku, I think we all watched that one. Oh my gosh, he's out. Max Tucker missed most of the game with an injury. I think Bryce Brown went out with an injury. We saw, obviously, O. McGowan was out. Cam Arnold's out. Bryce Steele got banged. Bryce Steele was playing. Crazy stuff going on there. I'm going to talk about roster stuff in the last segment because I have some thoughts on some things on that too. But Boston College they're now down by 10. They get the ball back, and they go on one of their drives that are just painful to stop. 10 yards, 74 yards, 10 plays, 74 yards, capped off by a second touchdown by Kai Robichaux, and they're down by 3. Now they just need to make a stop, and they do. And that's all aided by a 15-yard personal foul call on one of their wide receivers. Brett Lashley was so angry about this, but when they watched the replay, I can't believe they called this. It's such an incense that he punched Donovan Mazaraku in the back of the neck in a pile. Why would they call that? I don't know. Well, anyways, Brett Lashley, you got called for it. So BC gets the ball back. It's late in the game now. They get the ball with like 4 minutes left. And they're starting their drive like they've started every drive. 4 yards, 5 yards. And it's taking the clock down. But they get the first down on fourth down. But now they're getting the time is quickly going away. And now it's to the point where they have to be able to pass. The run game, you can't. I mean, they could have called some timeouts, I guess. But you had to stick with the run. You had to stick with the pass here. And once they went to pass, it was over. It was over because they could not. Guys couldn't get open. James was holding on to the ball too long. The offensive line couldn't hold on to their blocks long enough. And they went, 4 and out there. And then SMU gets the ball back with like 30 seconds or 40 seconds left. BC had 2 timeouts. Or no, they had more than that. But they had enough time that BC was able to stop them on second and third down. All they do is make one more stop, and Jennings hits a pass I think it was a shovel pass to win it. So that was it. That last drive, James just had nothing. He had not. I mean, as I was watching the screen going, don't take a sack. Just get the ball out. Even if you get picked off at this point, who cares? Just get the ball out, because you can't you can't just stand there and just wait. So the guys on the radio, on the TV show, I think it was third down, they kept talking about that Kamari Morales was wide open and James didn't see him. That was a missed opportunity. So, 38-28, it was actually, for most of the end, it was a 1-possession game. It was there. The game was there for BC. But they just could not put together one more drive to win it. If they could have just figured out a way to get that passing attack going and moving the ball, 3-4 first downs at the worst, and gosh, I would hope it wouldn't get down to this. They could try a field goal attempt. That would be horrifying. Or, if they could get things really cooking, they could get down towards the end zone. But the watching near the end, once you saw the first down and when they were in more of a pass heavy, or more pass predictable situation, it was over. Like they have nothing. I mean, in a moment, I'll talk more about like what the roster looks like, but that last drive was tough because I don't know if there's anything they could have done, differently. Like, could they have, maybe not run it so much early and tried to pass a few times and then mixed in the runs? I mean, that's nitpicking, but they had the ball with enough time to march down the field, and it felt like that first down set took forever for them to get the first down. And then once that was over, it was on to like panic mode where you had to constantly like try to get things going. Now for Grayson James, let me talk about this before we get to our next segment. Grayson James, I thought was okay. He doesn't throw a great looking football. I'm just gonna say that. That being said, I mean, some of his passes, like some of it comes out like it looks loopy, like it's not like I don't know, just something I noticed. But is he putting us at a position where we're significantly better than Thomas Castellanos? I don't see it yet, and it might be more that the guys around him are not there, getting open and things like that. But this was kind of what I expected, right? Like he didn't make any plays that went, wow, this is totally different than what I expected. He left some plays on the field, like the Morales on third down where he didn't see it. The moment got big at the end. He had some fun spots there. I mean, he had some good throws, and he's tough as nails out there. Just like what you want out of your quarterback, he took some big hits, got back up, and kept going. But would I say like he changes anything based off of like the last two games that I would have had if Tommy was here? I don't think he does. Good or bad. I think they're kind of, each have their own quirks and goods and bads there. Like James clearly opens up the offense more. You get more chances to throw the ball, and he sees things, I think, better than Tommy does. Tommy, I think, when his play is there, is much better. But I don't see him drastically changing this team. And I still am going on. After watching today, my thought is they still need to get a transfer portal quarterback after this year. Like James should have an opportunity. I said this before, to battle for that job next year, but they need to bring someone else in too. Because the other piece of me watched this, and there was a play. I think he got banged. It looked like he got kind of banged up, but he got himself up. Where I said, if Jacoby Robinson has to go out there, this is over. Like this was like middle of the second quarter, because it's such a drastic drop off from here. They do not have another quarterback that I feel that can be competitive at this point. So you need somebody else. So I think that'll be something that we're going to continue to watch for. My other thought is that I do think BC's going to go bowling. I didn't think they were going to win this game to begin with, and I'm actually kind of impressed that they were like in this game. Watching the speed that SMU has, those wide receivers, like I don't know how they get all those guys here to this team, but they've got some motors on those guys. And BC they patted on a meaningless touchdown at the end, which I don't blame them for. And honestly, if that was to get to the playoffs or help them there, that's fine too. But honestly, given the situation, kicking a field goal, BC could still technically have won. So what they did jumped up their win percentage to thing, and that helped. So I don't blame them at all for doing that. I think that was the right move. I'm just saying for most of the third and fourth quarter, it was a one possession game. In that quarter, that touchdown wouldn't have mattered if BC could have scored. But I think I could see BC winning at least one of these last two. Pitt is hard to tell because their quarterback is hurt. They battled hard against Clemson today, and they looked pretty good. How much that is going to take out of them to lose the way that they did, it's going to be tough. UNC, UNC's defenses have always been suspect. And BC just beat up on not beat up, but did a good job against a very good defense today. So I can't wait to see what they can do next week when they play the Tar Heels at home. Now, my final segment, I have some last-minute thoughts I want to talk about in terms of roster management. I'm going to get into all of that in just a moment. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Now, the NFL is kicking off. Well, they're playing again tomorrow. You get the Patriots and the Rams. I've been fading hard on the Patriots all week, all season. I'm starting to feel better and better that they're starting to click, and I might actually take the spread here and have the Patriots, maybe even the money line, pick the Patriots to win this one. If you agree, or you want to check out, prop bets or over-unders, they got everything up on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get yourself started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Locked On Boston Postcast. This is AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have joined on today, and make sure to hit the subscribe button so you know when I go live to talk about these football games. I'll be live at Alumni Stadium for the last 2 games, and if there's a bowl game, I'll be there too. Oh, I'll be talking about it. If it's in like Birmingham, I'm not going to go down there. But one last thought I had is where this roster is at this point. Obviously, Tommy Castellanos leaving it is the biggest deal of the week. But watching the team today, a few things have stood out to me. Is we're now into that spot. We've talked a lot about how Craig Fitzgerald's a big deal in terms of the new strength and conditioning coach, and he's going to be a big factor moving forward. And I still think strongly about what he can do to this program. But the injuries are starting to pile up, and hopefully with the last 2 weeks, we'll start to see some guys come back. The biggest surprise was Pete Thamel tweeting out that Owen McGowan is out for the season. That was a big loss because Cam Arnold didn't play either. I don't know. We have no updates when he's going to play again. So they were down to their 3rd string Mike linebacker, and that ended up being I don't think he's a walk-on anymore, but former walk-on Joe Marinaro, who played hard, but you're getting deeper into your depth chart when you have to play guys like that. That's not a knock on him. It's just it is what it is. We saw guys get knocked around a little bit, but it's not even the injuries at this point, but there's guys that aren't playing that I just don't understand. You look at the wide receiver room. We have not yet heard about what's going on with Jaden Steed. I am imagining he's hurt. I haven't seen him out there in about 3 or 4 weeks. I hope he's okay. But the bigger surprise, we know Shake McGowan's healthy. He's returning kicks, deferring to Jonathan Montague for some reason I don't understand. But he doesn't play ever. And Jerron Bradley, don't know where he is either. Those are your 2 transfers that you brought in with hopes that they would make a big impact on your wide receiver depth. And Bradley has been just MIA. You're instead playing at one point with wide receivers I saw out there. Dino Tomlin, which is fine. Ish Zamore. I honestly saw his number and went, wait a minute, is that Ish Zamore or Montrell Wade? Because I couldn't even remember which one it was. You're getting deeper into your depth here. And this is, for me, at least if I'm missing something, but Bill's, unless you ask him about it, sometimes he will tell you, but sometimes it's just quieter. Some of the guys that are playing are just a bigger surprise. Now, he continually says that a lot of these guys are getting playing time due to their practice squad play or play during practice. And I would say, like guys like Jordan McDonald. And Jordan McDonald's been a revelation. I said that last week. He had another great game today. But guys at the wide receiver position, Reed Harris had clearly he has some sort of connection better with Grayson James because he had about 80 yards receiving today. But none of the other guys are doing much again. So that position I'm confused about. Then you look at the secondary, it is getting banged up. But you have Isaiah Farris out there who had a costly pass interference call today. And you are, instead of playing like Ryan Turner, I don't know what the scenario is here and why they do what they do, but it's just an interesting change in how they're perceiving their roster. The roster just continues to change. And my last thought about that is I want to shout out Liam Connor for kicking a 45-yard punt. He did it Aussie rules, and he's not an Aussie rules punter. I want to shout him out because that was awesome. Hey, we'll give positives when it's due. Now, on Monday's show, I'm going to have Mitchell Wolf of Eagle Insider on with me again to talk about the game. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, subscribe. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening to on a podcast, do that as well. This is AJ Black. I will be back again on Monday. I hope to see you all again so we can talk more about this game and get ourselves ready for the UNC game. The season's almost over, folks. We have a lot to talk about. And you can do that all on Locked On Boston College, your team every day.